Hello and welcome to the changing face of our industry, a roundtable in partnership with Tarmac and the QMJ Group, the organisers, of course, of Hillhead and also the publishers of Quarry Management and aggregate.com. My name's Susannah Streeter. I have had a long career in broadcasting. I work for the BBC. I'm now a financial commentator, and I also have the privilege of hosting, chairing debates, events like this, and roundtables. And it's really great because it gives you really deep industry insights. And that's exactly what we're going to be getting from today, because I'm very pleased to say that we are really going to be focusing on embracing diversity and hearing from different individuals, from different organisations and different backgrounds. And really the absolute key for this event is looking at how the industry can attract and retain talent from different backgrounds, from younger generations, but also ensure that companies maintain that inclusivity. And also we're going to be looking at the economic benefits that all of that can bring. Now, I'm very pleased to say that we have some really leading industry professionals from this sector, but crucially, we have got apprentices, because they're going to be telling us all about their own personal experiences and really lifting the lid on some of the challenges that are stopping the sector from really accelerating and achieving the pace of change that we really need. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce them. First of all, Peter Kay, who's the Head of Learning and Development at Tarmac, which of course is the UK's largest aggregate producer. And sitting beside him, Sonali Sahi and Neeraj Lohana, who are both graduate process engineers. And I know, Solani, you're a graduate, but also, Neeraj, you came in as an apprentice and you are going through your degree right now. Yes, we're going to be hearing more from you both a little bit later. I'm also very pleased to welcome Lisa Saunders, who spent a decade at John Wainwright and Co., more than a year, a whole decade, but now heads up Mineral Matters. This is a very important industry initiative aimed at promoting diverse future workforces. And we're going to be hearing more about that from Lisa. Please also welcome Claire Howcutt-Kelly, who's the digital editor of QMJ Group and is absolutely passionate about promoting women in particular across the industry, but also about creating diverse workforces in general. And you're a real advocate for the Women in Natural Stone initiative. So we're going to hear more about that. And I would like to welcome Neil Fowkes, who's the early career talent manager at JCB, which of course is one of the UK's leading construction suppliers. So it's really important that we don't just get the mineral sector view, but also the view from the wider supply chain. And alongside, well, not alongside, but with Neil today is Rebecca Brooks, who is an apprentice at JCB, and she's a management business degree apprentice. So as you can see, we've got a lot of experience, a lot of insights to get through. But Peter, let's just set the scene. You know, we're talking about this not because it would just be nice to have a diverse workforce, but because there are absolutely crucial economic benefits. Just run me through them and how these need to be communicated.
So hello everyone. I think actually the case for diversity and success is pretty clear. Actually, there's lots of research that will tell us this. And I think what we see is industries with a more diverse workforce outperform their peers. So there's definitely that economic advantage. Now, the question is, why is that an economic advantage? And I would say there are three things for me that, for our industry in particular, is a really important element, particularly around growth. So the first one would be talent. The second one would be innovation. And the third one would be decision making. Those are the three things, not necessarily in that order, but those three things. So if we take talent, I think what the opportunity is for us, given the growth and the infrastructure in the UK, is we need people, full stop, and we need to widen the scope of that talent base. And, you know, thinking in a diverse terms, then you're looking at a wider scope of people who want to come and work for our industry. So a talent one is key. On decision making, having difference within an organization means you're getting a breadth of ideas, a breadth of thought to make sure the decisions that you make are the right decisions, rather than a narrow view of what a decision should be from your own style, your own way of thinking. And then finally, innovation. and that difference and that idea, I think that's absolutely critical for us to grow as an organization and as an industry. We need to capture as many ideas as we can, and we'll only get that from difference of thought. And I think that is critical for us. And for all those things, I think that will give us that economic benefit, and that's what it's about.
And so let's focus right now on some of the success stories that we've really seen, and you've really been instrumental at Tarmac. So Sonali and Niraj, you are apprentices, you were attracted to the industry. Sonali, tell me what prompted you to join this industry, because many women are not encouraged to join, or they don't really think it's a viable career prospect. Why was it different for you?
I mean, I would say it all kind of started when I was younger at school. I really enjoyed the maths, the science, and thought, how could I combine these? And then I did a degree in chemical engineering and thought, right, what kind of industry do I want to work in? And I knew oil and gas wasn't the industry I wanted to go into. Saw this job and I thought, that's just a bit of me. Like, I thought it gives me a chance to go out on site and be grubby and dirty, but I can use my technical aspect as well. So that's what really pulled me in, is the chance that I can do a bit of both. And I love it.
Fantastic. It's great to hear. Niraj, you took a slightly different route.
So as soon as I finished school, I loved maths, physics and science, and I wanted to kind of combine my work and my passion for the sciences together. So leaving school, I was thinking, well, I can go to university to do a traditional degree, but I thought to gain the experience that I need to be successful in my work, apprenticeship is the best way, and hence I applied for the apprenticeship and I went through that route. And the amount of knowledge and experience that I've gained the last 2 to 3 years as an apprentice, moving on to the graduate scheme, it's tremendous. It's something I'll take throughout my career, and I would not have got the same experience possibly at university. But so I think it's the support of Tarmac, and it's the holistic view looking at apprenticeships.
But you're still managing to get that degree at the same time,
Exactly.
which is pretty remarkable, including time off and that kind of thing as well. Very encouraging. Rebecca, tell me what prompted you to get involved.
Yeah, so when I sort of left school after doing A-levels, I really wanted to get some industry experience and knowledge. So the natural progression for that would have been an apprenticeship rather than the university route. So I don't know, JCB sort of drew me in from a product side of things. I'm quite interested in, a product-facing company and supplying to our customers. So that's what drew me into JCB.
And what was the reaction like among your peers when you said, I'm going to go and work for JCB? Particularly among, your female friends, for example, were they kind of like, well, did it make them think twice about the potential routes that they could have?
Yeah, I think so. So quite a lot of my friends went off to do university and degrees through the normal educational route. But a couple of my friends, after knowing that I did an apprenticeship, then went on to find their own apprenticeships as well, which was really good.
Okay, so I want to come back to you, Sonali, because you, as you said, you're the type of person who would be encouraged to join this industry. What have you found, though, since you've joined, that actually might mean that retention of female apprentices might not be as good as it could be? What kind of barriers and challenges are there still in the industry?
I mean, I would say, because obviously I work in a male-dominated industry, I can go days without seeing a female, and that's just the world I work in, which is not a problem. I don't mind it at all. But I do work with people who have been in this industry for 30, 40 years and are very much maybe stuck in their ways, and I'll try and offer them support or something that they've maybe not seen before, and sometimes it'll get pushed back, or it's very much, you're new, you don't have the experience that we have. We've been doing this for 30 years and nothing bad's ever happened. And that's probably one of the biggest challenges that I have. I will say it's getting so much better. It's definitely a shift from when I first started to now. A lot of people are listening to us younger ones and taking our opinions on board, but I say that's the main challenge.
It's really interesting when you come to events like this, because you can hear and understand a lot from just going to the facilities. And I'm talking about the toilets. And even though, as you say, there's been a lot of progress made, and there's certainly as many toilets here as there have been in other events, but it's the location of them, and sometimes still on building sites, as you've been in construction sites, you've been talking about, there aren't the facilities often. And that can actually might not put off people from joining because they don't really know, but what about retention?
Yeah, so when I first joined where I now work, the female facilities, for example, were not there. The basics weren't there, and that's something that we've really put a lot of effort in, and the company as a whole has made major strides. I would definitely say in the past year to put the effort into your basic facilities. But for example, when I went to a different area that I was working from, there wasn't a female facility in the training room that I was working in, and I had to get a car and I was chauffeured to go to the female facilities, and it's quite demoralizing sometimes where you've got the male toilets and you don't have the female ones, but it's something that we're getting better at, and it's something that's talked about a lot more.
So I think just on the exact same point is also, I think we should not look at women in the industry as someone who's separate. They're part of us, and I should not treat one engineer who is a male different to an engineer who is a female. It should be exactly the same because she's an engineer, she's really good at her job. So I think that's changing in the industry, and it's something we're working on. And I've seen the big difference in the last couple of years. And we have many males and females, and kind of in the industry and working all together to resolve this issue.
And I want to pick up on a point, Naraj, that you said to me a little bit earlier in our pre-chat, the fact that because you are a graduate in a position of quite, a position that should mean that you are respected, sometimes because you're young, that can be hard to achieve. And what can organisations do to help you support you in that respect?
So what I've seen so far is, I think it all depends on the line managers. So like, especially for our company, the line managers are trained and they're qualified and give you the confidence. So personally, I've been in tough situations where, right in the heart of it, and it can get tense. And if you're not mentally prepared for it, it can be quite difficult. So that's when the line managers give you the boost and they give you the confidence and they support you throughout your journey. And that's how you work your way up. And especially like for Tarmac, we have programs such as core skills where you learn all these soft skills. You're not focused on the skills you learn on the job. They're more on people management and how do you manage these situations through either role playing that you do in the courses, and it's a holistic learning that's been looked at. So
thank you. And Rebecca, how would you sum up your experience so far, moving through the different departments that you do at JCB? Are you feeling supported by your line managers, and can you see where perhaps there could be more progress that could be made, or are you how would you sum up your experience?
Yeah, so as our apprenticeship scheme works, we sort of do 6-month rotations around different departments. So being able to sort of network, that networking piece is huge at JCB, being able to move around the different departments, get talking to different teams and different people. That's been really valuable in understanding, one, how the business works and how different line managers interact with you, and being able to sort of realise what works well for you as a learning style from an apprenticeship perspective on how you'll sort of get the best experience out of the placements that you do.
Thank you. And Neil, let me bring you in. I mean, you've got quite a hard job. You've got to get in the recruits, as the early career talent manager, but crucially, you've got to retain them and try and ensure that they stay the course. What do you do? How important is it that these apprenticeship schemes, but also these training opportunities, future training opportunities, are well thought out?
Yeah, it's an interesting challenge, really. We from an attraction point of view, we start very early. So our engagement with children starts at the age of 5, and at 5, we're not selling careers. We're trying to inspire them and engage them to understand, what fun a career can be, and it can be fun. So it's very much at an early age. It's about inspiring. Then it moves on to sort of engaging them and getting to understand the opportunities that JCB and the sectors can offer. So, meeting the trainees who we have on scheme, whether they're graduates or apprentices, having those conversations with them, talking to them and supporting them about how they can, secure a career. So the careers advice, CV writing, interview preparation, all that type of thing. And then it's really engaging with them to try and get them to, remember when we worked with them, when they were 5, that these big yellow things that we do can be fun as well. And it's trying to get them to apply to us and join our schemes. And we've been doing this for a number of years now. And last year, we had over 6,000 applications for just under 200 positions. So it's a long burn. It's not something that you can do overnight. We have to ensure we do all the things that we do consistently, and we go to the big events, and we work really hard to work with schools, from the age of 5 and universities as well. We've got to continue to do that. We've always done it very locally because we're an organisation that's predominantly based in Staffordshire and a plant over in Wales. So we have really good networks with all the schools in the area. But if we want to recruit the best graduates and engineers and business, they're not all in Staffordshire. So we also have to look nationally. So we do a lot of work nationally now to engage with, all the universities, the colleges and the schools, so that they can understand the opportunities that we offer. I think people know JCB because of the brand, but what they don't realise is the breadth of opportunities that we offer. We have over 40 different early career schemes now, and there are very, very few areas of JCB where we don't have early career people in there. So it's, for us, the challenge is showing them what we can offer. And then if you have rich programs and the trainees, from week one are adding value to JCB, they really, really are. Rebecca's just run our attendance and ran a big project to take JCB to the Big Bang Festival at the NEC. Over 20,000 visitors. Rebecca program managed that from day one, with a big budget and managing a huge team of people. And I've got to say, it was a huge success. It's probably the best program we've ever run there. And we've done that for many years. So it's trusting the trainees and giving the trainees the real life projects, whether it's an engineering project or a business project, giving the opportunity to do it, because 9.9 times out of 10, they do it probably better than I would do it. So it's having that ability to trust them. And then I think you do retain them because they can see that.
Yeah, let me take that point and bring it to Peter, because there has been a tendency within the industry because there's this talent shortage, this talent crunch, is just to get somebody who's got the right skills and the experience. And what are you doing by simply doing that? Because training can actually turn somebody into that person anyway.
Absolutely.
Actually might be more likely to offer other skills and diverse background to the organisation.
Oh, absolutely. I think there's two things for me, and it comes back from, getting people into the industry. Historically, maybe we and in some areas we may still do, is focus on, how many years experience have you had? Yeah, that's great. When actually it's the recruitment for attitude as we want. We've got a great resourcing team who absolutely look at that and think about, actually, it's the right people we need. We can do the training, we can do the education. And what I find from, we're like JCB an employer provider in terms of apprenticeships. So what you've got then is you're creating people for you as an organization. You're giving them the skills and the knowledge, and with the right mindset, what you're helping them do is actually create belief and confidence in what they can do. And these two individuals as well, if you create that belief and confidence, you can then challenge, you can then say, this isn't right, there is a better way. And for me, skills and knowledge is relatively easy to do. It's the attitude that it makes it difficult, and it's still obviously possible, but it's about that's the unlocking that makes it really challenging. So if you get the right people in the first place, put that focus in, we'll provide the skills and knowledge and the education. It is relatively cheap to do that. And I think we as an industry need to think more about, how do you get the skills, how do you help people get into the industry, the attraction, but actually think about the right type of person. Don't focus on what they've done before. It's who they are as individuals that makes the big difference.
Now, this is something that Mineral Matters, Lisa is so intrinsically involved in, has really been pushing, isn't it? Tell us a little bit more about the initiative and what you're trying to achieve.
So obviously, going back to what Peter was saying about attracting people to our sector, that's exactly what Minerals Matter aims to do. So it's an industry-wide initiative aimed at obviously attracting young people into our industry. So the average age of our workforce is 56. And we are primarily male, white, British. So we have some work to do in terms of obviously making sure we've got succession and talent for the future. So it's very much aimed at going into schools, a network of ambassadors going into schools and telling young people about our wonderful industry and all of the opportunities we have available. Often people think about our sector and they don't always see the opportunities available, but they have certain perceptions about our industry. There is still that view that it's kind of dirty. It's mostly people driving around in trucks. They don't often think about the back office jobs that we have, the fact that we've got technical roles, the fact we've got engineering roles. So it's about us going out nationally and telling young people what's on offer, really, in terms of apprenticeships in particular. an interesting statistic I have is that I think just a couple of years ago, we had something like 77,000 people going into sort of higher apprenticeships and 250,000 going into university. But, you know, so it's really about going into schools and telling them about these apprenticeships. A third of students are unaware of apprenticeships and the fact they exist and actually what's involved. So, you know, we need to do quite a bit of work in this space, and also about trying to enhance the diversity as well. You know, as Peter was saying, it's really important that we become more diverse in terms of gender, you know, ethnic background, sexuality, everything really, so that, you know, we've got more diversity, which will make us a better sector and make us more successful in the future. So that's really what Minerals Matter is all about.
And Claire, oh yes, go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, I just on the thing around diversity, I think we have a perception and we don't want it to be the tick box exercise. This is genuinely about difference in people. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. For our industry, you know, the apprenticeships is an advantage in England that you can, anybody can be an apprentice. And actually, it's not about just being a young person apprentice. It's about someone who can be reskilled, upskilled, and it can become from different industries. And we've got so many examples where they're, you know, who've come from very different industries who've added real value because of who they are. And that diversity is it's a perception that it's focused on certain things. It's not. It's different in all its forms, whether it's neurodiverse, whether it's sexuality, whether it's personality style. It's all that element. And I think that's the opportunity we need to think about when we mean diverse, because that widens the scope.
Absolutely.
And an increasing number of adults, as you say, Peter, that change direction as well in terms of the careers that they go into. So actually being open to taking on new adult learners as well and actually giving them a new opportunity, I think is another area where we need to kind of focus.
Yeah.
And Claire, you've been really instrumental in the Women in Natural Stone initiative. Tell me more about that. And do you think people are listening, or is it still quite an uphill battle?
Well, I think one of the main things to say about that is the Women in Natural Stone network is all about supporting women. You don't actually have to be a woman to be part of it. But it's also about creating this safe space. So we talk a lot about culture within workplaces themselves, but we need to also look at what is available outside of that workplace. So encouraging people, younger people, to join these networks. So it might be that they join a Women in Construction. It might be they join Women in Natural Stone. Any of these things are possible. But I think the more employers know about these kind of initiatives that are going on outside their own four walls, as it were, the better, because it's through doing that people get to talk to other people that may be experiencing similar challenges, and also celebrating successes, which I think is crucially as important. And part of the network that I'm in, the Women in Natural Stone, is very much about us going along. We meet up in lots of different locations up and down the UK, the different types of events. So in a couple of weeks, there's an event at a quarry, which we'll be given a tour by one of the members of the Women in Natural Stone network. There's events in London we go to. So it's really about making sure that we've got these kind of almost like a nucleus that we can then spring off from. And then we've got all these pockets where people feel like there's someone like me. And that's what we kind of need. We need that representation. We need for people to say, hey, that person looks like me. That person talks like me. That person feels like me. And I think for us, having that network, I'm in a really fortunate position because I sit over the editorial side at QMJ. So I work across the whole construction side of things. So it's like natural stone, quarrying, concrete, and all of these things have loads of different people within them. And I've got that impartial platform. So all of these things that everybody's talking about, I'm in a great position because I can share these success stories. If you've got an event coming up, I can promote that event. And it's been really great for me as a journalist to go into situations in a kind of almost neutral way and look at it through fresh eyes and think, wow, this is amazing. What can we do here to make it better? And being around other people that are passionate, it rubs off on all of us, doesn't it? I think we can all agree that it makes you feel, wow, what a great industry, and you can talk freely. And I think it's so important that people have a safe space, whoever they are, that have a safe space outside of their workplace where they can just say, I'm struggling with this, can you help? In a really informal way. And of course, we can put measures in a very formal way, like this is the way we deal with things at this company, this is the way we deal with this. But there's that initial thing where you want to ping someone a message and say, I've dealt with this. Have you dealt with it before? What did you do? And it's about embracing that. Whoever you are, just saying, yeah, there's someone there for you and that they can help support
It's already
you.
really helped with retention. Are there people that you've met through Women in Natural Stones Network who actually was thinking, I might leave, I'm feeling not supported? And do you think your network has made a difference?
Yeah, I think it's definitely made a difference. I think it's opened doors from the very sort of start of people's careers to, you know, the most senior people. They're able to communicate and talk and to able, you know, to kind of say, look, I've had this situation happen. It's fine. This is what you need to do. Yeah. And to trust. You've got to trust in people. And ultimately, we should trust in people that everyone's trying to do the best they can do. You know, I think it's very easy to be cynical, isn't it? And think, oh, you know, everyone's out for this and whatever. But I think the more that we can trust in other people and just take a risk, I think we have to take a risk and think, okay, so I am struggling with this. Who can I talk to about it? Because ultimately everyone wants to be happy in their work and happy in their lives. So I definitely think that when people have struggled with particular issues, they've spoken to another member of the network and they've said, do you know what, it's okay. And even for things like, do you know someone that can help me with this? It might be a supply thing. It could be absolutely anything. And there's always someone that can help. And like I said, it allows people to have access to members of, you know, kind of senior management and that kind of thing, that accessibility in a really informal way, because where else would you get that other than an informal network?
Yep. No, just to say that that's exactly the same approach we've taken, is that have communities within our own business sponsored by a senior leader, and it really has opened their eyes because they've become allies to those communities, and it's because of that that we've made significant changes, and I'll mention it. I mean, if you think about it, having facilities that aren't suitable or fit for purpose for our female population is totally unacceptable. But why has it taken 2 or 3 years to actually create change? So the positive thing that is happening, and we've created those sort of communities, and we are listening to those communities, and more importantly, doing something with what they're saying. And I think that's a significant difference. And you know, as an industry, we can do that. You know, let's listen to what people are saying to enable us to change.
Have you been helped by networks that you've built up, or is that something that you've yet to tap into, Sonali?
I would say I've more spoken to people in person about it rather than like a network kind of vibe. Sort of. I'm definitely someone that will just go up and address and just speak to someone that I know that can help me with the situation. Kind of like the woman was saying earlier, it's nice to go up and just say, I've had this situation. Have you had it before? How can I help? Or how can we fix it? So I would definitely say the people around me, the women and both men included around me, have been amazing and have been very supportive in helping me trying to sort these facilities like Peter was saying. So I've had great support from people that I work with.
Great. And Rebecca, knowing that those types of support networks exist across the industry, does that give you a bit more confidence?
Definitely, yeah, especially as sort of a young person going into quite a dominated male industry, and somewhere that you don't really know what's going on, especially coming straight from A-levels. It's your first sort of corporate job, don't know what an office looks like at all. So coming into sort of that corporate environment can be really daunting. So knowing that there's support there to help and ask questions, yeah.
And I suppose this is absolutely crucial, the retention, isn't it? Because you also need to have very diverse leadership teams. Is that what you're keeping an eye on, Neil? The fact that you've got to make sure you've got that succession planning.
Yeah.
And it's all right, you know, you get people in, but if they don't stay the course, that's no good for senior leadership teams in the future.
No, I think again that starts at a very early age. You know, when the trainees join us, they'll have buddies who are from intakes maybe a year or two older than them. They'll have mentors. You know, we try and align the trainees with the right mentors. They'll have placement managers. They'll have an early career team that supports them. So that support from day one is really, really important. But we need to make sure we use the right ambassadors, you know, so really promoting our successful trainees, our successful managers, and making young people realise that they can aspire to be on the executive board at JCB, because other people have, you know, are on that board and have come through similar pathways to Rebecca and the rest of the trainees. So yeah, it's really, really important. And, you know, just going back to the networks, I think the networks are really important. Even for me in my job, you know, I have a network of other large engineering organisations who I work with, who I know if there are things that we need to work on, you know, whether it's females into engineering or improving the ethnicity of our programme. I know if I pick up the phone to Richard Hamer at BAE Systems, he's going through the same problem, and I can talk to Richard and we can share ideas, or Joe Gogoley at Siemens. We're all going through the same challenges. So I have to use that network, and we use that network because our challenge is the same. We need to get people into the sector, and we need to work collaboratively to do that. That's not going to happen if just JCB do it or BAE. If we work as a sector, because we're all facing the same challenge on age profile, you know, ethnicity profile. If we do that together, we're much more powerful and we're going to be much more successful. And I think over the last few years that we've done that as a sector, we are starting to see the results of that. But we can't be complacent. We've got to carry on doing that because we're not there with the demographics and the stats that we want at the moment. But I'm confident we will get there.
Who are your competitors then in terms of talent?
I don't see it as that. I think if we're attracting the right people and the number of people into the sector, there's enough people to.
Do you think that, say, for example, the lure of tech is a little bit problematic for the construction industry, the supply chain? Is it for younger to attract younger people in particular?
Well, I think the technology is coming in all sectors. You know, we've moved massively into hydrogen. You know, if you want to work in that sector and be really passionate about sustainability, what a great opportunity to come and work on that. You know, if you go on the stand today, I'm finding things out, just seeing our products on there about the AI and the safety of our vehicles and the person recognition. I didn't know about that, you know, but so if you want to work in tech, the engineering sector and the construction sector, you know, it's there. We just need to do better at promoting those opportunities.
So do we need then a bit of a rebrand really of the sector to attract different types of people who wouldn't ordinarily think?
I suppose the thing I would say, I think we're so much more than construction, and I think that's been a thing we all get ourselves fixed on around that relationship to construction. We make stuff, we manufacture stuff. Well, that means Rolls-Royce do that, Toyota do that, JCB do that. The mineral products that make stuff. Well, why are we thinking it's about construction's part of it? It's a massive and incredibly important part of what we do, but that's who we supply. We ourselves make stuff. And because of that, the technology advancement we have and will need for the future is a real opportunity. Because if you think about it from a population point of view, what you enjoy, what population coming in, that's what they're going to be really, really good at.
Neeraj, what do you think? Do you think that actually there could be more done to promote the technological advancements that this sector has had to try and attract more people?
Absolutely. I think what we need to work on is particularly young people in schools. So when I was back in school, you know, construction for me was just, making buildings, and it was nothing about tech. And that's just because nobody came to tell me, and, you know, it wasn't there. The information wasn't there. So if we target young people and we put the information out there, you know, through going into the schools, speaking to them, getting them involved, you know, like as you mentioned, JCB starts, you know, at when someone is 5 years old, they're playing with these small models. But when someone goes, 14 to 15 years old, that's when I started thinking about, well, what am I going to do in the future? So if I had known, okay, wow, quarrying, and there's so much, you use drones and you use robots and use AI and hydrogen and electrics, and it's massive. So for a young person looking at this, he goes, wow, this is what I want to do in the future. I think it's that perception that we have to change through going into them and putting the knowledge out there, which we still have to work on.
Yeah, and I know this is what you're focusing now on, Lisa, isn't it, through Mineral Matters, is really trying to get into schools at an earlier age and ensure that younger people know all the different types of professional opportunities that there are in this sector.
I think in terms of Minerals Matter and the brand, I guess, and what we're talking about just now, it's really about telling sort of young people, what's coming down the line, really, in terms of the sort of new technologies, all the work that's happening with sustainability and net zero, the opportunities we have as an industry to work internationally as well, and all the great training and development opportunities that we provide within our sector. Often it's just as a matter of course. That isn't always the case in every sector. So I think that does make us stand out. So it's about looking at our sector and saying, well, what makes us different? What is it that's really going to appeal to people, to young people in schools, and trying to put those messages across, when we are obviously having those interactions. So, yeah, it really is about, looking at, I guess, the USPs, unique selling points of our sector, and trying to sell those when we're doing all the work that we need to do.
Do you feel frustrated with what's currently on offer as standard at school in terms of equipping people with the right skills to enter the sector?
I think there's advancement in that. I think the apprenticeship is actually worked in terms of being clear about what the standards are and working through that. I think they've moved for T levels, which means there's more technical education. So I think there is change that has been slow. COVID may have impacted that, but it is moving in the right direction. But look, I think the other thing I would say, just to add to Lisa's point, is that actually, in terms of that attraction and in terms of that making the connection from education to the world of our work and our sector, it's actually this population who should be giving us the solutions, not us.
Mm.
If you take the simple thing around maybe even on social media in terms of how we utilize it, we're scared of some of that, let's be honest. And we're not the ones who will believe in it necessarily, but that's the major use. So if that's the way that will help us get more of our younger population, more of a diverse population into our industry, we've got to be a bit braver. And that's
it goes back to what we were saying about earlier in terms of the forums and things as well, and perhaps looking at having an increased number of forums where we can look at those types of things as an industry, whether it's social media, whether it's a group that looks at diversity, women, all of those things. It's whether actually we can work as an industry on some of these important topics.
Isn't there a danger though that there's too many groups thinking about it, putting forward policy, whereas actually you just need to start posting on TikTok? Just start doing it, because that's where the audience is. Sonali, do you think that could be something you could be involved in?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll do that. Not a problem. Not a problem at all.
I mean, the amount of hours that teenagers spend on that platform is incredible, and the number of eyes on screen. There's a bit of a wasted opportunity.
Definitely, I would say when I was that age, I had no idea about this industry whatsoever. And they're not too much younger than me. I'm not that old yet. But I would definitely say something like Peter was saying, we don't use social media at all. It's just not something that we use, and it takes 20 seconds to catch their attention. And we can do that so easily in a video, like follow one of what we do on a day-to-day basis. I know and it's very attractive what we do, and what we do is cool. And it'd be nice for teenagers to see what we do, and that's something we should easily get into.
I think people love behind the scenes. Yes. People absolutely love it. It's the most popular content. It's like a day in the life. What have you done at work today? I think people need to see that this is fun. It's like you just said, you're having fun. It's really cool. Show people.
Yeah.
You need to be able to show people, because it's great. While people you perhaps went to school with in an office, and you're out on a site doing something cool, or, you're working on this amazing project that's going to be used around the world, and I think, but there is that kind of, tendency we have with like social media. I mean, I don't know too much about TikTok. I just thought it was like lots of dancing, but it's interesting that you raised the point about TikTok, because like you said, people are spending a lot of time on it.
So much time. I mean, Neil, you talked about attracting 5-year-olds, with the yellow machines from a very early age. Yet there seems to be this nervousness around social platforms. Why do you think that is, from a corporate perspective?
I think sometimes it's protecting the brand. The brands are so important to organisations, and we're very strong on product when it comes to social media. So JCB's, if you look at social media, we're very strong on that. On the people side, that is an opportunity for us. There is a great opportunity with TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and so on, for us to do more. There is definitely an opportunity for us. And again, looking at the sector, I don't think we're any different to maybe some other large organisations who work in our sector, whether it's Rolls-Royce, Bentley, Toyota. If you search those organisations on TikTok, there's opportunities just as there is for JCB to improve that work. And who better to do that than the apprentice who can tell you about the day in the life of an apprentice at JCB.
As you've been talking, there's been a long line of school kids who've trudged past in their orange jackets, and it's great that they're actually here experiencing it. But of course, they could, be disseminating the message to a big audience. And Rebecca, what's your take on social media and the opportunities that it could present to attract and retain talent?
Yeah, I think it's a really untapped sort of potential that we could use to attract and engage with young students and people, not just on that, as Neil was saying, in sort of the local area, on a national scale, being able to sort of attract and inspire people from all over the UK and elsewhere to come and join the team and look at all the exciting stuff that we get involved with. Yeah.
It's difficult though, Lisa, isn't it? Because, Mineral Matters, it's a great initiative of the industry, but you're a small team. And actually, in a way, you can't create that content, can you? It has to come from those people who are actually doing the job, the apprentices. What kind of way forward could you see for this?
Well, I think it's all about commitment and engagement with industry, really. So we need the industry to know about Minerals Matter, what it is, why we're doing it, and then actually help us actually take it forward. And there will be a number of different ways that we'll do that. But initially, it's about building the network of ambassadors. So we need companies to get some of their staff to volunteer, basically, to go into schools and help us. And one of the things we really need, I guess, are role models, some of these younger apprentices to go in and actually try and break down some of those stereotypes as well, when you go into schools, because often, you'll go and talk at school and they will expect, an older man to come in, in his PPE. They wouldn't necessarily expect, a younger woman in PPE, for example, doing an engineering job. So it's trying to send in, the different role models. And like I said, it's all about really the industry commitment. That is the most important thing, and the buy-in to the initiative.
Now, we talked quite a lot actually about promoting more women to get into the industry. Look at it as more of an ethnically diverse perspective. Do you think it should be viewed in a separate lens, Sonali, or do you think actually the way to encourage people with diverse backgrounds is a similar way to approach it?
I would say it's a similar way to approach it. It's very much what you're interested in, and it just so happens that that's the area that I was interested in. But I would definitely say if you promote it in a certain way, it will attract the right people, and they will see it and say, that is a bit of me and that's what I need. But
it is all about role models, isn't it?
Yeah, it is all about that. 100%. You want, like say, when I started work, I didn't see anyone that looked like me or anyone that was anyone like me, and now I'm seeing a lot more people coming in that I feel like they can relate to me, which is lovely to hear as well. That's definitely made a massive change. Even in a year below me, I'm seeing a lot of people that look like me and doing engineering jobs, and it's nice to see. But I definitely didn't have anyone else to really look up to.
Niraj, what's your take?
So, in fact, on her point, my sister, she, when she was going through school, so she was thinking, well, should I do an apprenticeship or should I go to the traditional degree route? And she was saying, well, there are not many women in the chemical engineering industry, and I don't want to go into it. I actually gave Sonali's example to her. I said, look at her, she's made it through, and she's working in a male-dominated industry, and it's a diverse industry, and that's what we're trying to get to. And through her example, my sister is actually now working in the chemical industry.
Oh, amazing!
Which is a positive step, and I think we have to do similar, as you mentioned, role models. So I think it has to be so Minerals Matter will be sort of an overall take, but even on a personal. So for me, I was ordered to go back into my school, and I spoke to the students there, and it was good to see, for them it was good to see an alumni come back to the school, and he's been to there, and the perception on the apprenticeships changed, and there was more awareness. So I think that's what we should be going for as well. So as you mentioned, the individual ambassadors, when they do their part, they'll combine all together into the Minerals Matter.
Yeah,
so I think that
it's really great. I mean, obviously, as you say, you're saying role models are absolutely crucial, but there will still be a worry that actually some of this could be seen as a bit of a token gesture. I mean, it's great to see you as a cardboard cutout. It's normally like that.
I know.
Yeah, it's already like take that or something, but it's finale. But you have to make sure that all of this really is backed up by concrete policies, don't you? In recruitment, in retention, because otherwise it can fall flat.
Oh, absolutely. And but I think we ultimately want the best people in the workplace, and it's changing our own biases of what that means. And I think we've just got to figure that out. Look, if I talk in my history, I'm of mixed parentage, Malaysian Muslim mum, English dad. Because I'm an English dad, I don't have a Malaysian name. Now, I'm pretty sure, and there's lots of evidence that would support it, if I had a Malaysian name, I may not have got to where I've got to. Now, that's not right, is it? And that still may happen in some places. So, we've got to recognise it's getting the best people in the job, and getting that diversity is what we want. And the value from that will be massive.
And which is why that point that we were making earlier about diverse leadership teams, that's so crucial.
It's the role modelling. We've just talked about it all the time at every level of the organisation.
Mm-hmm. And are you finding that within JCB as well, do you think? Is there a much more understanding that it's got to be that cascade of influence all the way down the organisation?
Yeah, I think it's both ways, top to bottom and bottom to top. So you've got to bring the people in and give them the opportunity, to be able to reach the very highest levels in the organisation. But there's got to be a will from the top of the organisation to get the support to go and do the schools work. It's the attraction activities and the learning development budgets can often be the first budgets that are cut when times get hard. But organisations such as ourselves understand that if you don't do that work, at a very early age, and continue to do that decade after decade, you're not going to get that diverse organisation or diverse people into the organisation. And it's top to bottom, but it's bottom to top as well.
And just to think, Tarmac, JCB, other large organisations, if we as large organisations can role model that and expect it, then the smaller businesses who don't have the infrastructure that we have, it'll help them think about it as the advantages for them. Because that's a real challenge, isn't it? There's so many smaller businesses within our sector that it's really hard for them to think like that, because they just don't have the infrastructure to focus on those areas. We're in a privileged position to do that, and we should role model it ourselves.
Yes, go ahead.
It's also about having an openness to how positions are worked as well. If we're going to attract a more diverse workforce, then we need to be open to things like flexible working, part-time working. And instead of looking at jobs in terms of how they've always been worked, can they be worked differently? Could a job that's traditionally been worked, from 6 till 2, 40 hours a week, could that be done as a job share, for example? Could people work from home? It's all of those things that need to be looked at to be able to enable more people to come into the sector.
Yes, a point was made a bit earlier today to me that part of the issue with female retention is that it's not so much of a problem attracting women into the organisation, but actually if you don't have the right maternity policies or paternity policies in place, that they're going to quickly move and go somewhere else. Would you say that it's the larger companies that really have to lead here?
Well, I think, if companies can facilitate it, then it's something they need to be looking at regardless of their size. And, there's a war for talent. So if we don't offer the flexibility, then potentially another sector will, and those people will go elsewhere. So I don't actually think we have a choice. I think we have to look at this.
What do you think are some of the most interesting? We talked about some of the technological developments that we've seen so far, and obviously how social media could really be a game changer if we really approach it in the right way. What other technological developments are you seeing coming online that actually might propel more people from different backgrounds to enter the industry?
Well, I think it's that piece, the whole technology piece of going into data analytics, AI, automation. That requires a different work skill set and opportunity. I'm not sure about from you two, but it probably excites.
Oh,
yeah.
I think you were outside with the young kids, and once you mentioned drones, that was it. There is the opportunity, and again, it's about saying we're not just a dirty perception industry of construction. We're doing technology, and we're doing it now, actually.
Would you say that you're doing that at JCB?
Yeah.
Promote? Yeah,
I would. A lot of people apply to us because they want to work on the sustainable projects. Battery technology, hydrogen technology. They're things that people are really, really passionate about, and they're now realising they can do that in engineering. And the other advancements that are coming in software developing. The drones, our marketing material, all that type of things. We have content producers. Because the way we work, we have theatre production technicians. So there's a real breadth of opportunities available in large organisations, and sustainability is a massive one for us. So yeah, absolutely. So,
would you say sustainability is a big driver among your peer group for career choices? Raj?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think there's a big perception of, carbon emissions. So when we talk about cement, when I mention to my friends, oh, I work in cement, and they go, oh, you pollute the environment. What they don't realize is there's a lot being done to make it more sustainable. We have carbon capture project coming along. We're doing things to move away from using coal. We're moving towards sort of alternative fuels. So now I'm working in the field where we're trying to make it more sustainable, net zero, have our targets to hit. So that's the awareness is not there, and that's something we have to work on. Sustainability is the main sort of priority for young people, especially even myself when I first started. I don't know about you, Sonali.
Yeah.
Was it?
Definitely. I was actually quite surprised when I first started work to know that we actually still use coal. I thought that's not something we're going to use. Like, we still use coal. But we've made massive strides. So where I work, for example, in 2022, I think we burn around 27% alternative fuels. Last year, we've upped that to about 44, which is a massive increase in a year. And now we're hopefully on target to hit even higher. So it's important for us. It's after safety, it's probably right up there, sustainability, with what's most important for us. And definitely the generation below us is sustainability is key. That's what you want, and that's what we need for the future generations.
Absolutely.
We need to be sustainable.
Rebecca, are you getting the same vibes from your friends?
Yeah, definitely. And speaking to younger students when we go into schools and when we attended the Big Bang Fair last week, sustainability is a huge driver, and it's amazing to see the education that goes on around that and how aware the young students are on sustainability and the environment and what's going on and what needs to change. It's really inspiring.
Now, we are coming to the end of this roundtable, and I just want to finish by asking all of you, what one thing do you think could change to really help solve this issue and really make sure that there's a changing face of the industry? And I'll start with you, Lisa, if that's okay.
I think for me, it's about engagement, communication of minerals matter across industry, and buy-in from not just the industry organisations, but all of the employers, large and small.
Thank you. Rebecca?
It's about inspiring young talent, I think, to understand the opportunities and the potential that they've got in the industry sectors.
Thank you.
And I would agree with you, Rebecca, that I think we need to be showing more of what these careers look like in a realistic way, behind the scenes, that kind of thing. Start at a young age, show people how much fun it can be to be part of this industry.
And is that by using social media, do you think?
I think a lot of it could be by using social media. And obviously the advantage of that is for smaller companies, they don't need a big budget to make it happen.
Thank you.
I think I'll agree with everything everyone else has said so far. We've got to, social media is a big thing for our sector. I think we can make more use of that. We've got to continue what we've been doing for many years now. We can't afford to think we've got there. We've got to continue to do that and use the young people as the ambassadors of social media to get out there to the audience that, sometimes can be hard to reach.
Yeah, I would say two things: celebrate what we do well that fits with the young talent in the in the outside world that potentially could join us, and then secondly, give the accountability to our younger population to create the change, because they're the ones that actually know what needs to be done at this level.
Yeah, thank you. I agree with all of them. I think getting into schools first of all and getting them out and about and seeing what we do, getting them out to touch things and feel things, I think is a good one. And social media is the best way. It's the best way to do it for the younger generation. For sure.
I think for me, I agree with all of you, and Peter especially, celebrating it. So I'm proud of what I do. when the youngsters see that I'm proud of something you do, and I've been through the same pathway that they have, and they realize, oh my God, there's so much more to this. So it's raising their awareness and the perception of the industry and the communication through Minerals Matter and a few other projects. So I think, and social media is the main way to get it done, because that's all they look at, really.
Absolutely. Okay, well, thank you very much. I think you should all be really proud of the achievements so far. I mean, clearly there is still a lot that can be done. There's a lot of opportunity ahead that I think we should all be excited about. So thank you very much for all of your contributions today.
Thank you.
Looking at the changing face of the industry. So thank you.